Stop tracking likes, comments, and shares to make FU money on YouTube in 2026. So these are my results. I just have to share this so you know that I know what I'm actually talking about. As you can see, I've gotten millions of views, hundreds of thousands of views. This is a long form video, 500,000 views, etc. But I was pretty freaking broke here. Like, I was making a lot of views, but basically no money. And I was tracking engagement. Like, I had a community. I actually have a community for this channel, but the leverage was still just very low. But now, however, I can make 40K a month consistently for my guy here. This is my guy right here. I'm just blurring his stuff. But his views are only like 2,000 views per video. Like, you don't need a lot of views to get this much money. You literally just need like 2,000 views can get you $10,000. And do that 4 times in a month. That's like 40K pretty much. Although now we're posting like 2 times a month. So that's why, it's above average. So we earn about $5,000 per 1,000 views, if that makes sense. So you don't need 1 million views to make $1 million. You also don't need to track engagement as much as you probably are. Like, I've fallen down this trap, don't get me wrong, of trying to increase click-through rate, increase average view duration, increase average view percentage, blah blah blah, increase subscriber count, like increase likes, gotta get engagement bait, make them comment. It's like, no, you don't. To make an actual business, this is all you need. Like 6%, it's okay. It's pretty decent, I won't lie. 24 subscribers is basically nothing, pretty much. And this is average view duration. This is less than average, right? According to the channel. But, this still gets money. And likes, obviously this is kind of important to some degree, but it's not your end all be all. You can still make FU money with like a bad like ratio. 90% of the metrics in YouTube are actually BS, and they're just a complete waste of time, and just like you shouldn't be focusing on them. You should not be focusing all your time on trying to game the algorithm. Unless you're making entertainment content that's not really fueling a business, then that's something I would understand. But if you actually want to make FU money in 2026, that is not the move to go for. Because if you're running a business with your channel, what you should be tracking is not even on YouTube. So what should you actually be tracking? That depends 100% on your funnel. For example, this is like a little program I made that shows your funnel pretty accurately. And this is one of my funnels for a TikTok actually, where I'm optimizing for high interest DMs. I'm not even optimizing for cash flow on this one. I just chose this one because it's really simple. But that is, you start up here where your videos are posted. That goes into the views, your total views per week, per month, per whatever. And then that goes into the number of profile clicks. Then once someone goes on your profile, they can either follow you or DM you. So that's why there's direct paths to a new follower and a new DMs. And you might be wondering, why even include followers to begin with? Well, that's because followers could actually influence DMs. So that's why it's kind of like a triangle here. So people could either go left and go on new followers and then DM you, or they could literally just go on your profile and DM you directly. So that's why it's a dotted line. That means it is influence, which basically means that you believe there is a correlation, or I should say a causation, from followers to DMs. And specifically this way because we want to track the last in line thing. So that is high interest DMs. And DMs, of course, translates directly to high interest ones. So that's a pretty basic funnel. There's only one off section here. But here's a bit more of a complicated funnel here. We start up here with videos posted, obviously. This is a YouTube channel, by the way, YouTube Organic. So we start up here with videos posted. Then it goes into impressions because, videos posted directly to impressions. And then impressions to views. This right here, this line right here is literally click-through rate. So there are some metrics on YouTube that are going to correlate to this funnel system here. But the important ones are actually down here, which YouTube does not even track. So then when someone actually views your video, they can go several different ways. First of all, the 2 main ones is they can go directly to a WhatsApp DM, or they can go directly to booking a call. I don't have a website on here because actually I should probably add a website. In this funnel, we actually do have a website. But yeah, I'm still in the early stages of making this, so I'll change that later. But anyway, so the views can go directly to WhatsApp DMs or booked calls, or the views can also go and influence the number of net followers gained on the channel, or the number of watch hours on the channel. And that's directly from the views. Now, another thing is someone could watch a lot, and then the watch hours could influence the number of net followers gained. So that's why there's a line that way. And also, someone could just watch a lot and then go directly to DM or go to a book call. And a net follower could also go to DM or book call. And then a WhatsApp DM is mainly going to be going to book a call, but sometimes we do have WhatsApp DMs directly to close deals. And that's why there's a slight influence line here, but it's not a hard line like this. And, you know, as you can see, book calls is obviously going to be closed deals and closed deals to revenue contracted. So an example of this workflow, of this funnel, I should say, is going to be you post a video, it gets, 10,000 impressions, maybe 100 views, and one of those views, influences the watch hours a lot. Let's say they watch a lot of your content, and then they decide to follow you. And then only then do they actually DM you. And then when they DM you, maybe on the off chance, we actually close them through DMs directly, and then we get some money. Or maybe they just DM you, and then after the DM, they book a call, and then we close them that way. And then going back up here, maybe they followed you. Let's see, they watched your content, then they watched more of your content, then they followed you, and then from following you, they decide to book a call. Then from booking a call, they decide to close and, revenue. Now, another example of what could happen is maybe they start up here at the views, then they go directly to watch hours, and then they don't even decide to follow you. Maybe they literally just book a call immediately and then close the deal. Or maybe they don't book a call, maybe they go to WhatsApp after watching you for a while and then close the deal, etc., etc. Here's another example as well. Maybe they watch one of your videos, then they just decide to follow you instantly. They don't even watch that much of you maybe. And then they just book a call directly from watching you and then close the deal. Anyway, this is a bit confusing, I know, but I haven't really seen any other funnel system like this out there that accurately shows a breakdown of what your funnel actually looks like from an organic standpoint. Because what you want to be optimizing in your funnel is always going to be the last thing, revenue contracted. And I can even add another one after this that is cash collected. And then this line here would basically be your revenue versus profit. So your profit margins. So you want to be optimizing for profit margins here. And improving this line is going to be improving your profit margins. So every line is something important here. So, closed deals to revenue contracted. If this ratio is shit, then you know your exact constraint. If this ratio is shit, then, well, actually, that's an influence line. So it means basically that WhatsApp doesn't really close deals as much as booked calls. But yeah, I may be slightly biased because I did make this program and it's still in early access, but I think it's pretty cool. But anyway, let's continue. Only some of the nodes are on YouTube, like I said. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes that are on YouTube. And to be honest, that is more than half that are actually metrics on YouTube. But the important metrics are down here. And none of these are actually on YouTube. So basically, if you're optimizing for watch hours, then you could be completely missing out on everything else down here. You might be optimizing for watch hours, sure. You get a lot of people watching your shit, but you don't book any calls. You don't actually have any WhatsApp DMs. You don't have any closed deals. And most importantly, you don't have any fucking revenue contracted, which is the most important thing. And also another thing, on YouTube, we can't tell if X had a correlation or causation on Y. So basically that means we can't tell if the views actually affected watch hours. I mean, that's pretty obvious that they probably would, but we can't actually see a direct causation or correlation between them. So views affecting net followers. This can actually be negative even when our views are going up. That's a thing I saw recently in this channel, specifically the YouTube channel that this funnel's on. We were getting a lot more views, but our followers were going down. And in that process, we were actually making less sales for this channel. So the important metrics, like I said, are at the bottom, which YouTube does not even have at all. Like WhatsApp DMs, booked calls, closed deals, and revenue contracted. We don't want to be optimizing for watch hours or followers because that could tell us something completely wrong about the business. So with this data, we can analyze much deeper. As you can see, here's another page of this program that I made. And this is basically an assessment, a basic assessment. And this is pretty much AI summarizing the data behind this. And this basically says a 9-month window shows strong follower to call conversions despite modest view engagement. The contract shows a 9 record window. That's basically the number of data points I have on here, which is not much because I just recently set this up. But anyway, 9-month window with average contract value of $2,500, which is roughly the price of our ticket. Contact performance generated substantial impressions from limited posts, converting to views and watch hours. The funnel demonstrated efficient conversion from follower changes to booked calls. The overall view to follower and view to call rates remained modest. Revenue ceiling and unrealized revenue both modeled to 0, suggesting either early stage tracking or data collection constraints. So too long didn't read of this. Our 3 bullet points. Number 1 is follower to growth conversion is exceptionally strong, indicating a high intent audience engagement despite lower absolute follower growth. So this basically means there actually is a decently strong correlation between follower increase and the number of new sales calls we get. Now, number 2, it says content reach efficiency is higher from limited posts, but downstream conversion from views to follower growth is constrained. So this basically means it thinks we're getting a decent number of, reach, which in this case I assume means views and impressions, but the downstream effects of follower growth is actually constrained. So this is one of the biggest constraints in the business itself is the number of followers, or specifically the number of followers to views. So this is views, and this is new followers, or net follower ratio, or whatever. Because in the first point, as it mentioned, the follower to booked calls ratio is very important for getting sales. So if our followers are down, then our booked calls are statistically significantly going to be decreased as well. Now, number 3, watch hours drive booked calls more efficiently than views alone, suggesting engaged viewers are primarily conversion source. Am I reading this right? Suggesting engaged viewers are primary conversion source. I think it's missing a the there, or maybe. But anyway, yeah, so this basically says watch hours are more important than views. So that means we should make longer videos, but we would have never known this if it wasn't for this specific metric right here that measures directly watch hours to booked calls. So this is actually very important as well. So the most important takeaways from this is that new followers increases booked calls significantly, statistically significantly, I should say, and so does watch hours. So watch hours and views increase our booked calls, which therefore increase our leads and conversion rates. And watch hours is actually more important than views alone. So we can get a lot of views, but not very many booked calls, as long as we make those viewers count towards a lot of watch hours. And the biggest constraint is the number of followers to viewers, the number of follower to viewer ratio. This conversion is basically our main constraint right now. So that really tells you a lot about a business right here. Now, you don't have to have this fancy graph like I have here, but you can pretty easily make something similar in spreadsheet, like Google spreadsheets or something. Although it wouldn't be like 3-dimensional or 2-dimensional like this. It would probably have to be 1-dimensional unless you do something fancy. But anyway, here's some more data. Also note for this specific client, I'm actually waiting for him to give me the revenue input. So it's actually optimizing for closed deals, I believe, since that's what I have inputted as the lowest bottom chain of action here. Just a little thing to note. So once I actually input revenue collected, then it will be a lot more accurate. But it's still in the early stages, like I said. But now from this data, we can analyze trends also in our business. As you can see, these are some data points. It's not many data points because it's still in the early development stages, but this line is the actual amount that there is, and the line around it is the statistically significant area at a 95% interval. And the benchmark is basically what we want to be aiming for. So views to profile visits is pretty low. Actually, this is a different channel completely. I forgot about this. This is one of my TikTok channels. It is this one actually, where it's mainly doing high interest DMs. So that's a different channel than the one I just mentioned. So as you can see, the biggest constraint here is actually views to profile visits, which means I don't have a strong enough call to action in my TikToks, which is pretty fair. I don't have a call to action at all. And here's some more metrics: profile visits to net follower changes, etc., etc. And this one doesn't have enough data really to really show exactly what's going on because I don't have many high interest DMs for this TikTok. Not only can we analyze our trends in the business, but we can also find the biggest constraints, like I said. For this TikTok specifically, the biggest constraint is here. The constraint is the views to the profile visits ratio. That's what this constraint basically says. That's the diagnostics here. Here's another assessment based on this TikTok. The funnel shows strong blah, blah, blah. Actually, you can just pause and read that if you want. I'm going to read these bullet points here. So number 1, addresses views to profile visit conversions, which is the binding constraint. Improving this transition by a 1% point would yield meaningful terminal gains. So basically, the downstream effects of increasing this ratio would be massive, and basically something that I really should be wanting to do right now. Number 2 is profile visits to new follower conversion offers the largest sensitivity to optimization, with 1% point improving generating substantial expected terminal gains. Similar to this one as well, it's pretty similar as well. I want to maximize the actual follower ratio to to profile visits. And the last one is new followers to DMs and downstream conversions are performing adequately and should not be prioritized until upstream constraints are resolved. So this is very important. This is very insightful, I should say, because it really tells you where you should be focusing your energy on in a business. And that is specifically the views to profile visits. Nothing downstream of that is really important in this specific TikTok channel before you solve this main issue first. Everything else is negligible. So with all this data here and this funnel system basically, we can optimize for actual cash collected instead of views or followers or anything that might be useless. Obviously in this case up here, views did have a direct correlation towards booked calls, but that's just in this funnel specifically. In other funnels, it might actually be the opposite. It really depends on your business. I doubt it would be the opposite, but more likely than not, it might not have an effect. But you just need to find that out for yourself. But optimize for cash collected and make $10,000 from pretty much 2,000 views. And this is real, by the way. We literally make $10,000 pretty consistently on videos that only have roughly 2,000 views. So that's what you can do with high leverage and optimizing for actual cash flow, instead of views, likes, comments, subscribers, or any other bullshit metric, like views. For example, this channel was one of my own channels, almost 6 million views, but I only made $2,400. That's a terrible ratio. But anyway, here's another screenshot of this dashboard that I'm basically working on of another channel. This one actually has variable tracking as well, which is pretty freaking useful also for this channel. I tested a variable to see what would happen when I would post 1 time a day on TikTok versus 3 times a day. And what basically happened was everything else was undetermined. Basically, there's no data to support any change, except the views to profile visits. This was statistically significant to have a supported increase, which pretty much means, in my eyes at least, that when I was posting 3 times a day, the same people were seeing my stuff and less likely to click on my profile. But when I was posting 1 time a day, there was a higher chance of new people to see that thing and therefore click on my profile. So each video was slightly more efficient at getting a new audience. Obviously, it's pretty minor. It was only 0.26%, as you can see here by the difference. But these were massive numbers. This is statistically significant if you actually understand anything about statistics at an alpha level of 0.05. Now, you don't actually need this entire dashboard to track your data. You can literally just use a Google spreadsheet, like I said. The main thing that I'm trying to get across in this video is to actually track your sales. Track your important metric that you want to actually improve. Don't just track views or vanity metrics. Though, if you actually do want access to this dashboard, or if you do want my one-on-one help with conversion rate optimization and content leverage, DM me on my personal Instagram at tashielyonns. Right here, this is my personal Instagram, and maybe we can work something out. But thanks for watching. See you next time.